What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. Today we have got a couple of news stories in the world of tech and PC gaming. First up, we're going to be talking about AMD, who held their Financial Analyst Day yesterday and talked about upcoming AMD Ryzen roadmaps as well as RDNA 2, basically talking about Big Navi and new graphics cards coming out towards the end of the year. And also we've got an update on Death Stranding and how it's shaping up to look like it's going to probably be a pretty good PC port according to Hideo Kojima. And also towards the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys some sort of like health updates on what's been going on and why I haven't been uploading over the past week, but I don't want to really front load that into the beginning of the video for people that are just here for the news. So if you're curious to see that stuff, either stick around to the end or skip to the end of the video now. In the last couple of minutes, I'm going to just kind of give you guys an update on all of that, but let's get fired right into the news. Did you just finish building a sweet gaming rig only to have this happen to you? Not to worry, because your CD Key has you covered with Windows 10 Pro licenses for under $15. And if you head over there right now, you could save 20% off with my code JPD20 at checkout. You'll receive your key within seconds, and then just click the start button and type activate to find the Windows activation screen, and all you got to do then is paste your code in. For more info as well as that coupon code, be sure to check out the links down in the description below. So first up, let's talk about AMD Financial Analyst Day, which we've been looking forward to for the last couple of months, at least I have, as we've seen a bunch of rumors and leaks come out concerning, GPUs like Big Navi is what we've been calling it really, and we, kind of theorized that maybe we would see these graphics cards in the coming months since we already knew they were planning to launch a follow-up to the 5000 series later on this year, so it would stand to reason that we would see something like a 5900 XT probably coming out in the first half of 2020, but now it looks like that's probably not going to be the case, and some of these leaks and rumors probably weren't true. I mean, there was that one benchmark that had shown up on a VR benchmark database, and, we have no idea really what that was. I mean, maybe it could have been Big Navi, but it just doesn't mean we're going to be getting it anytime soon, although that's what we thought. It's probably going to be later on in this year based on this information from AMD. Now, unfortunately, they didn't actually announce any new specific products, and that typically is not what happens on these financial analyst days anyway. This is pretty much for stockholders and things like that, so they're just kind of putting out their roadmaps, letting them know when they can expect to see these big launches coming out and the types of gains that we could expect to probably see. So people can kind of theorize and, speculate on, what would be good times maybe to make investments and stuff like that into these companies. So yeah, first up, starting off with RDNA 2, which is going to be powering the next generation Navi graphics cards. The biggest thing they said about it is that we can expect to see a 50% performance per watt improvement over the current RDNA architecture found in like the 5700, 5500, 5600 series of graphics cards. So it's important to note that this is not necessarily a 50% performance improvement, it's 50% performance per watt. So it's going to be more efficient. It doesn't mean that we're going to get 50% extra performance on top of what we were getting already, but it's going to be more efficient, and then we'll probably see some decent performance gains going between generation to generation, but we're still going to be on 7 nanometer here, probably 7 nanometer plus would be very likely. So yeah, if you think back to like Zen, I know this is CPUs, a little different from GPUs obviously, but when they went from 12 nanometer to 12 nanometer plus, the performance gains weren't huge. They were a little bit more power efficient, a little bit faster in terms of IPC. So we could probably expect to see something like that here. I'm not expecting anything huge with these. I'm thinking probably somewhere maybe in the 10 to 15% performance improvement range would probably be at the higher end, but I would love to be proven wrong, but maybe we'll see the really big performance improvement when they start throwing in more cores and stuff like that with the Big Navi GPU, which obviously we didn't get in the 5000 series, so we'll probably see something like a 6900 XT when the 6000 series of GPUs launch at some point later this year. So far right now, they're just saying late 2020. We'll have to wait to get more information on that when it is available. AMD did also discuss hardware-accelerated ray tracing, which I think we all expected to see on the RDNA 2 GPUs, as RDNA 2 is going to be found in the next generation game consoles, which are going to support ray tracing on these consoles, which I really just wish they would target getting 60 frames per second at 1080p rather than going after like ray tracing in 8K and keeping games running at 20 to 30 frames per second. I think that's what all of us would like to see, but hopefully they'll give us more options this time around in the new generation of consoles so you can kind of customize the experience to what you want. Like if you want 1080p, 60 frames per second, let me choose that. If I want 4K, 30 frames per second, or 720p with ray tracing, which is realistically probably what they'd have to run at, yeah, let me choose those options, as they did introduce that really in the most recent generation of consoles, but I don't think it was available as enough, and sometimes the options were kind of vague and didn't really give a whole lot of customization. So I'd like to see more graphics options in the next generation of consoles, but really the main story here is that we are going to have ray tracing now in AMD graphics cards, and we should expect to see those later this year, finally, to compete with NVIDIA and their Turing cards. As far as Ryzen is concerned, unfortunately, we didn't get a whole lot of information on those CPUs and when exactly we can expect to see them launching. We did just get a updated roadmap for Zen 3 and Zen 4, but no specific dates or years really. It's kind of a vague timeline here, but it looks like Zen 3 is probably going to be coming either maybe later this year or early 2021, and then Zen 4, we're probably not looking at those until the end of 2021 or sometime in 2022. That's kind of what the timeline is hinting at here. But yeah, since the timeline itself is rather vague as to where it's actually positioning itself in those years, it's really anyone's best guess right now exactly when we can expect to see the new Ryzen CPUs, but they're definitely doing excellent right now against Intel. I did see some recent reports about how their 10 nanometer process is not going very well and how they're not getting the performance that they were expecting to see, and they might not be really competing very well equally with Ryzen until they get down to 7 or even 5 nanometer processes over there at Intel. So it looks like the landscape was just pretty much wide open right now in the CPU space for AMD to not only, right now they're they got right there with Zen 2, and now they really have the opportunity to really go ahead and take the lead and get far out ahead of Intel before Intel can catch up in a couple of years' time. The last thing I want to mention about AMD is that there was a slide shown during the conference, and it showed a new cooler design, I guess, for the next generation of Navi cards, which it was asked about over on Reddit, and there was an official response that there will be no blower fans for gamers on the next generation. And you can get a brief glimpse here of what the graphics card could look like. It looks like we got a slot here for 2 power connectors, probably right there. I kind of like how they put a sort of like a housing almost around there, or it could just be like a placeholder thing. But it looks, if that's there, it's kind of interesting. I'll be curious to see how that works and stuff with how the power connectors go in. But you can definitely see that this is a 2-fan heatsink, so not going to be a blower style card, and it looks pretty good in design. Definitely better than what we saw on the 5000 series of graphics cards with the blower coolers on the 5700 series. So yeah, I think this is going to definitely be a welcome change, something people have been asking for a while, and now they're coming out with a design that is pretty much reminiscent of what we saw with the RTX cards, where NVIDIA ditched the blower style coolers in favor of a 2-fan heatsink, and now AMD is following suit with the same thing. I just wish they had done it a little bit sooner with the 5700 series, but at least we'll be getting those later this year, and hopefully we'll see some better temperatures, better performance as a result of that, maybe better overclocking potential on a reference model card. The last thing I quickly wanted to bring up is Death Stranding, probably one of the most highly anticipated walking simulators coming to the PC at some point in summer 2020. Yesterday, Hideo Kojima, or actually a couple of days, Hideo Kojima actually tweeted out a video, as well as Kojima Productions, showing off the ultra-wide support for Death Stranding. So looks like it could possibly be a very good PC port if they're taking into consideration stuff like this early on. It doesn't look like they're just porting it over and just slapping it onto PC. It does look like they are actually spending some time in giving it a good coat of paint for the PC, having things like ultra-wide support, and not only just standard ultra-wide support, but also for cutscenes as well. So sometimes we see these in games where the cutscenes are pillar boxed and cut off at the sides, but these videos posted on Hideo Kojima's Twitter and the Kojima Productions Twitter definitely put that to rest, and basically it's going to have full ultra-wide support in-game as well as the cutscenes, which, most of us aren't, most of you guys out there probably aren't ultra-wide users, but I just think this is setting the precedent for probably a good PC port. Hopefully they take other things into consideration as well, higher frame rates, uncapped frame rates, high resolutions, good mouse and keyboard options for customization, no mouse acceleration, things along those lines, tons of graphics options. Hopefully we'll get all of that stuff, built into Death Stranding. I'm a little hesitant on what the mouse and keyboard support is going to be like in that game, just because from what I've seen On the console versions, it seems like the movement is so needs to be so precise, as a lot of it is walking around and basically balancing stuff. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe this might be a type of game that you would definitely want to play with a controller, but obviously we'll have to wait a few more months to see on that one for the PC version. I'll definitely be giving it a try on mouse and keyboard when it comes out, but if I need to swap over to a controller to be able to enjoy the game, then I'll definitely do that, because I am looking forward to this game, even though I know it was a little bit of a controversial launch as far as, some people really loved it, some people absolutely hated it, and so yeah, I'll definitely check it out, as I've enjoyed all the Metal Gear Solid games from Kojima, and I do hope that it's a good one. We'll have to wait and see, though, on it. Quickly, before I get out of here, I just wanted to briefly give a health update, sort of. Maybe you guys probably didn't know something was going on, but maybe you saw that I haven't really uploaded any videos since late last week. The reason for that is because I had an infection, so I had to go on a round of a double dose, two different types of antibiotics in order to help with it, because I've covered this in the past in the channel in a video. I suffer from lymphedema in my legs due to an infection from about 12 years ago, and having lymphedema actually makes you highly susceptible to infections. So at some point I must have gotten a scratch or a nick somewhere, and then it got infected. I'm not exactly sure what caused it. My only theory is that maybe it's because I've been going to the gym. Now, I'm not saying I'm stopping going to the gym altogether, although I had to stop while I was, fighting the infection, but I've been getting back in there this week. But I was thinking, just because since I was going to the gym and I was wearing shorts and that left my legs exposed, to equipment that a lot of other people are touching and rubbing on, it could have possibly been from that. It's just a theory. I don't have any proof of it, but I guess it opened up my eyes to make sure that, in the future I got to be a little bit more safe when going to the gym. Probably wear full-length sweatpants in order to keep my legs covered, so that something like this doesn't happen again. Because the type of infection that you get usually with this is either staphylococcal or something. It's either streptococcus or staphylococcal. I think it's basically either strep or staph, which are both things that live on our skin. So any sort of nick, cut, or abrasion could be infected by that, and it could have been from my skin, it could have been from someone else's skin rubbing up on the machines, which I thought maybe could be a possibility, as that's the only other times I've left myself exposed to possibly getting an infection. So it's just the best case policy, really, to just go full-length pants from now on going to the gym, even if it makes me sweat a little more, it's a little bit more uncomfortable. It's just something I got to do to really look out for my health, so something like this doesn't happen again, because it can be pretty bad. I mean, you can literally die from these types of things. So got it taken care of, feeling absolutely perfectly well right now, going for a haircut in a couple of hours, and then I'll be getting to the gym. And I already went a couple times this week, although I missed yesterday because I was feeling a little bit under the weather, not infection related, just kind of feeling very tired and bogged down and kind of nauseous. So I just kind of took the day off and just sort of chilled out in bed. But yeah, today feeling good. Got this video out, getting back into the swing of things, and we'll pick it up. I'll be going to the gym later today and over the weekend and next week, and hopefully something like this doesn't happen again, and if it does, can nip it in the bud rather quickly, and it doesn't get any more serious than it needs to be. But so far, I've been doing very good with the gym, starting to, increase my gains and stuff like that, and how much I can actually lift, and feeling really good physically and mentally as a result of going there. My energy levels have just been generally much higher when I was going to the gym consistently a week or two ago. Obviously, the infection kind of, messed that up a little bit this week, but yeah, when I'm actually going every day, I feel so much better. It's just like a fog has been lifted off of my brain. I don't want to say depressed. I don't really feel like I'm dealing with any depression or anything like that, but I feel like when I go, it's almost like a depression has lifted from me, and yeah, it just feels amazing to be able to go to the gym. So that's all I've really got for you guys today on the news. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Maybe I'll see you over the weekend for a new video. If you enjoyed this one, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the comments, as well as maybe tomorrow or over the weekend for another video.